Welcome to Corner Kick with Nick and Rick. This is Nick Prokop, but instead of Rick Thomas this week, we have Joey DiNapoli and Tyler Whitesides. How you guys doing?
What up?
Who was that so people can hear who the voices are?
Monopoly. Checking in from Columbus, Ohio.
And Tyler,
Hello, gentlemen and ladies.
whoever's
Tyler
listening.
Whitesides, Denver, Colorado.
As always, the Corner Kick with Nick and Rick show, which is soon to be named the Corner Kick Show, is part of the Tangent Bound Network. Go to tangentboundnetwork.com to find all the shows on the network. Whether you like hockey, the Fourth Line Pod, or you just like random geek shows, go ahead and check them all out and take a listen. As always, we start off with the news of the show, and we have our first transfer of the summer, gentlemen. Memphis Depay, the Netherlands winger, has chosen Manchester United and has passed his physical. Thoughts, Tyler?
Well, as a United supporter for my entire life, it's exciting, but at the same time, I haven't seen a whole ton of him play, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to really scout him heavily or anything, so I know that he's a fast winger, can also play striker, solid attacking player, but he has a bit of an attitude, so I've been told.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know.
Little
But
bit
I do like the signing.
27 goals in the Dutch league this year. Well, I should say between all Dutch competitions.
Mm.
Joe, you got anything to add on Memphis Depay?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know too much about Memphis. I mean, the first thing that comes off the top of my head was that super long freak goal he had against Australia in the World Cup. He's got a bit of a foot on him. I don't know. Like, you would know better than I would if he's really what United needs.
Well,
I would. Well, go ahead.
well, no, you finish your statement. What else did you have?
I was gonna say. I mean, I don't get to watch the Dutch league, but they sure as hell they have a lot of good products that come out of there. Dries Mertens was one of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Another guy that was kind of like a left winger. So, the kid's productive. He's really good. He's got good ratings all throughout his matches. The limited action that I have seen him in, he's productive on paper and on screen. So, yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't be like a really good depth addition for United. I'm just not sure where he fits in exactly.
Well, the comparison I've been reading mostly when it comes to his game actually is a guy that's not very far in nationality-wise is Eden Hazard. The way he plays on the wing, and that's going to be interesting to see. I don't think he's going to play like that right away, so United fans really need to temper their expectations when it comes to him. I don't think he's going to come out and score 20 goals next year or anything like that. It's going to be I feel like he'll be slow played into the lineup, but I like it. He's a fast winger, scores goals. That's one thing that, since Ronaldo left for Madrid, there hasn't been a goal-scoring winger on the team since. They've brought in Valencia, who's more of a fullback now anyways, who was supposed to be kind of like he scored about maybe 8 or 9 goals for Wigan before he came over, but a season, but it just never was a prolific goal scorer from the wing. That's essentially what I expect him to do. Like Tyler said, he can play striker too, but I just don't see a huge contribution early, especially since he's only 21.
Yeah. He'll get in the team. Left winger, we need it, but Ashley Young's been very, very good this season. So
that's your boy.
Yeah, not my boy. To be honest with you, I just saw every day, and I liked what he was doing. It wasn't stat-wise productive, but it was very productive as far as quality on the pitch. And that's when I'm looking at a player. I want to see that if they're getting in the right spots, and not only that, but putting their teammates in good positions by the way that they play with the ball and without it. So I like the way he played. He wasn't getting assists, but that stuff will come. Like we talked about on Twitter, he wasn't productive stat-wise, but what he was doing was very positive, and he was leading the team toward something better, and it's come out into the stats.
Well, they don't have good runs as a stat. He was making good runs and setting up other people to assist on goals. While we're talking about wingers in England, let's move along on over to the other team up in the Northwest that has a winger problem in a way. Raheem Sterling, the meeting with Liverpool has been canceled on contract talks. What do you guys think that means? Does that mean that he won't be with Liverpool next year? What team do you think he's going to be with? Joey, we're going to start with you.
I mean, I think it's definitely meaning he's not going to be with Liverpool next year. I mean, he's already come out and said that he's not going to stay, even though if they pay him like £900,000 or something a week to like play there, like that's just unreal.
Yeah, that's
pretty unreal. And yeah, I mean, obviously there's a very large divide between like him, Brendan Rodgers, and the club. Like they they were on this right track for a while, but they're going to have to like really consider doing a complete makeover soon.
Yeah.
And Sterling is one of those pieces that they're not going to be able to hold on to, especially if he's saying things like, they can pay me whatever they want, I don't want to be here. And a lot of Liverpool fans are taking that as, well, he wants to be paid that much. No, that's not what that means. He wants to leave. Like, he doesn't want to be there anymore.
So what team do you think he's going to be on next year?
Oh, I mean, the front runners are Chelsea and United, right? So
True.
It all depends on the transfer fee as well. I've seen reports of it being around 75 to 80 million pounds or something like that, something really outrageous. And I don't know if either team's really going to go for that, though. I mean, that's going to have to come down, especially after his comments lately. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to choose between either one of those teams, really. They could both use him.
Mm-hmm.
It would, I mean, he can actually contribute. So, I mean, it's just hard picking which team it's going to be. But if I had to say, then, I mean, I would definitely go with the front runners between Chelsea and United.
Okay. Tyler?
Well, this Raheem Sterling thing is a little weird. He didn't come out and say, by the way, Joey, that he wanted more money or that he needs more money. It was allegedly his agent came out and said, the money, you could pay us $900,000 a week, it's not going to matter, which the agent has retracted. He said he never said it. So at this point, we don't know what's been said and what hasn't. But what we do know is that he's not happy.
Yeah.
Whether it's he needs more money or he wants to go to a bigger club, he's not comfortable. He doesn't want to play there. As far as I'm concerned, as a United supporter, I don't really care. He's not going to come to United as far as I think. It doesn't make any sense. And 80 million pounds for a guy who's, what, 20, 21?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Who's really, yes, he's a quality player, but he's labeled as a winger, which body type, style, that's what it fits. But he always does or plays better inside, so I'm not really sure where to put him. And a guy who hasn't really established himself as a solid player in European football overall, why would he go for 80 million pounds? I wouldn't pay that. I wouldn't pay 25 for him, to be honest with you.
No.
Well, I don't have 25 million pounds, but if I did, I wouldn't spend it on him, I can assure you. But as far as I know, he's going to leave Liverpool, whether it's this year or next. He's going to leave. I think he should wait one more year. Now, I'm not his agent or anybody affiliated with him, but if I were him and I want to grow as a player, I'm going to go where I can play. If he goes to Chelsea, right? If they're a front runner, if he goes to Chelsea, is he going to be the next Cuadrado? Is he going to sit on the bench and come in the 88th minute? I mean, what does that do for his development? Is he really going to grow as a player? Is he really going to be the next big thing at 21 years old?
And that's why my answer is Liverpool, based on the fact that the only other team I could see him going to is not even being linked to him, and that's Arsenal, because they just love wingers. But
yeah, I think they have one, don't they? In Theo Walcott.
Yeah.
Inside.
There's some guy named there.
Yeah.
They buy so many wingers, though. They keep buying wingers and wingers and wingers. So that's why I said Arsenal. But no, I think it's Liverpool based on kind of what Tyler said. If he's going to get game time, it's going to be for Liverpool. I don't know how he fits in the long run in the future for whatever Brendan Rodgers is tactically thinking. But it's just one of those things that I don't see him as an inside striker or inside midfielder for what Brendan does. So he needs to be a winger in that attack, because the way he has it with basically a kind of like a 4-2-3-1 in a way, except for when he brings out both Sturridge and Sterling, he'll sometimes put them both up top. He's not big enough to really do any kind of hold-up play or anything like that, so he's just kind of a fast striker at that point. But I really don't see anybody paying anything, and honestly, Tyler, if you had 25 million pounds, you wouldn't be hanging out with us anyways right now. But no, I wouldn't even pay anywhere near, like, I would say maybe 15 to 18 or something around there is probably what he would have to go for at this rate. But playing time-wise, there's not many English teams that would take him. Now, here's the other thought I had about Raheem Sterling, and I've discussed this in the past with Joey at least, but one of the things that I like when teams that are buying someone that's proven in the league that they're in, I wouldn't say Sterling's proven, but at least he has plenty of experience in the Premier League, so he understands how the other teams kind of play and the physicality. So if someone in the Premier League does buy him, that'll be a plus for them because they have somebody that actually doesn't have to acclimate themselves to the physicality of the Premier League, where they won't have to be like a Cuadrado situation where he's not used to playing in England, so he has to kind of be brought along, and depth-wise because you have guys like Willian and playing in front of him. So that's another thing, is if he went to Chelsea, would he ever play? Because they'd have to at least get rid of Oscar and someone else, because there would be no way he ever get a chance to play on that one. Moving along over to the MLS, we have a few different topics to talk about. LAFC on Monday announced their stadium deal, and they said it would be a grandiose South Los Angeles 22,000-seat stadium. Apparently it's going to be right on the beach, and it looks actually pretty nice. I don't know if you guys saw the renderings at all or not, but it looks similar to San Jose's Avaya Stadium in a way, just a little bit nicer and right on a beach. But what are your thoughts on the LAFC stadium plan? Don't all jump at once.
Joey, go ahead.
Well, from my understanding, it's easier to get there, using the metro system in Los Angeles than it currently is for an LA Galaxy match. So that's pretty awesome. Because the easier it is to obviously get to a match, the more people you're going to. Also, my other thought, I guess, is that if it's on the beach, it's kind of funny because they actually got their waterfront stadium before Miami could. 10 years now, so obviously not been 10 years, but it just feels like it.
Tyler, anything to add?
Well, it's just funny that LAFC has followed the Don Garber ideas and followed up on the land that they wanted them to buy, and they bought it, and it's worked out. Miami has refused to do the same thing, and they're not working out. So I don't know if that's an inside thing. I'm not trying to insinuate that this is an MLS-type cover-up deal, but it's odd to me that LAFC is able to get their thing going pretty simply based on the land that they had already followed up with and did 10 years of research on. It's crazy to me. I don't know.
And the nice thing about where the location is in the south part of Los Angeles is that area where they're at is actually fairly underdeveloped, which is pretty shocking when you think of Los Angeles. But the one thing on that, too, is they were talking about the revenue it would make not just for MLS matches, but for other things that could be done at the stadium. And it could be somewhere around $125 million on top of the MLS games. So that could be a huge chunk of money that they're bringing in and keep it for themselves, basically, just to have a nice little stadium on the waterfront for, I don't know, a concert or something like that going on there. But while we're talking about stadiums, Don Garber, the wonderful overlord of MLS, visited St. Louis on Tuesday, and one of the biggest pitches for them was basically a $985 million stadium that will sit 64,000 people in a St. Louis soccer stadium. My first take was, okay, if the Rams leave, then they'll need someone to kind of sports team-wise be there besides the Cardinals, because the Cardinals do draw very well. It's one of the best in attendance in Major League Baseball every year. But this could, even though it would be going up against the Cardinals, be a good thing. I don't know what you guys think, but that's a lot of money for a team that's not even existent yet. Who wants to go first?
As far as I'm concerned, St. Louis needs a team.
Yeah.
They need a major professional team. They've had a void there for a long time, and with the history that they have in American soccer, it's a shame that they don't have one.
And they've been a hotbed for years. Like guys like Taylor Twellman have came out of that area, and there's also like half the teams in their late 80s and the early 90s are mostly guys that are from that area. So it's not like they don't breed soccer players and soccer fans, but it's one of those things that it's just weird to me that Budweiser and other places in that area aren't pouring money to help out, because to me that would make the difference of actually having a major league team. But Tyler, you're right, they need a team, and it's just weird knowing that it's such a big soccer market and doesn't actually have a team. When they've had friendlies in St. Louis, either at Raymond James or Edward Jones or whatever it's called, for the Ram Stadium, and then also played at the Cardinals Busch Stadium, they've had friendlies there that have drawn thousands and thousands of people, so they need a team badly. But moving on to Toronto, I don't know. TFC fans are just fantastic, aren't they? I'm not going to actually say the words, even though we have an explicit rating, so you guys could drop a little F-bomb here and there if you wanted.
If you like whining people on your Twitter timeline, follow some TFC fans. It is the most ridiculous crap I've ever heard. Just because they're sharing a stadium. What the hell?
There's a viral video out there right now of a bunch of male TFC fans basically harassing a female reporter, talking to some other fans.
See, that's a whole different thing. Like, that's totally different than what I was talking about. I'm talking about the whining that everybody's doing. But as far as that slanderous comment they made about that woman reporter, that was ridiculous. Yeah. There's no excuse for that. That guy losing his job, good. He should lose his job.
I'm all for Arsenal fans losing their job.
Now, this is the funniest kicker for me, though. Before the team started, before Toronto FC started out, apparently this guy played soccer in a university near Toronto and was one of the first people to try out for their open tryouts for Toronto. So it's like, I don't know if he's been just kind of a fan just because he wanted to play for them, but apparently one of the things that was part of his stipulation with his job was he was kind of like a ringer for his company's soccer team when they would play against other companies, and I was just like, really? that was part of his contract for his job. But he was in a very good Toronto company apparently and making six figures. So if you're gonna make
it's probably like 5 figures in real money though.
Well, yeah, that's true. Conversion rate. But that's one of the things that if you're gonna make a big ass of yourself on television, that people are going to see you in your company, in the community, and now nationally and probably worldwide. So I just don't understand why you would even do that. It's just stupid.
It's bad enough even thinking that way. Like, even thinking that that's funny, it's bad enough. But then to make a mockery of yourself, the sport, the fans of Toronto, man, that's pathetic, man.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 2 last thoughts on this. Like, the part that killed me the most is when the guy was asked, like, why would you do that? Why do you think that's funny? And he says, I think it's very substantial. Like, what does that even mean? What?
I don't even know.
And, oh my God.
That's called drunk intelligence, man. That's what happens.
Yeah. And then the whole...
My mother would it sounds smart.
I don't think his mother really would have been laughing at that, honestly. But moving along, USA had great news this past week. Gideon Zelalem has become part of the US 20 national team and looks to be in the future plans for Jurgen Klinsmann for the senior team. And he will be playing in the U20 World Cup here in about a week. He played in a friendly, actually, this week against Australia. And he set up one of the first goal that was pretty nice, a long distance shot by Joel Sonora. But I like this move. He's obviously rated well by Arsenal. He's only 18, but given some time, he could probably blossom into a nice number 8. Tyler, you have any thoughts on Gideon Zelalem?
Well, first of all, can we find out exactly how to pronounce his name? Because I have no idea. It's Zelalem. It's Zelalem. I've heard 20 different pronunciations. I don't even know. Like, can we just land on one? That's all I'm asking. Nothing crazy.
It's funny you mentioned that because I actually was having a conversation before you joined with Joey. I talked to a German guy not long ago, and he did say Zelalem was what they would say there. So I'm assuming Zelalem.
But he's Egyptian, so.
Ethiopian, yeah. So I don't know.
I mean, in Europe, like they all pronounce, for more or less. I mean, they pronounce their vowels all differently. So I mean, you're going to get different pronunciations across the board, no matter what.
See, I thought it was Zelalem, but then I heard Zelalem. Like, what the hell?
This might be a question to ask Sammy too. I mean, I'll ask Sammy what the pronunciation is.
Yeah.
So we'll get it.
Our resident, he's Egyptian, so he would know. So.
Yeah, he would know.
And that's a good question for him. Hopefully, the next podcast we'll be able to say something about that.
As far as his actual ability, I do like him from what I've seen. Again, he's one of those players that you don't see a lot of film on or anything.
No.
Like I've been able to watch him. I watched him a little bit in the FA Cup with Arsenal, a little bit the Champions League, but he doesn't get a lot of playing time. It's not like they telecast the under 21s, So I haven't seen a ton of him, but what I have seen, I do like. I do like the way he plays. He's a good, solid central midfielder, good 8, just like you said.
Yeah.
Setup guy, creative, but not overly creative, but can dribble, can hold the ball well. I like it. I hope he turns into something special.
Joey, anything you got to add?
Most impressive attribute is being able to create in tight spaces too. I mean, he can have a jam whenever he wants. It's it's kind of what the U.S. national team needs moving forward is somebody that can create from the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I look at him, I really see. I feel like he's best as like a number 8 in a box-to-box type of form. We'll see how he gets used. I'm definitely going to be watching some of these U20 World Cup matches on Fox Sports. I'm definitely DVRing them. I don't know about you guys, but according to our time, it's 3 a.m. Eastern for 2 of the matches and midnight for one of the matches. And I was just kind of like, yeah, they're playing in New Zealand. I'll watch it the next day. While we're talking about the Land Down Under area, let's move on over to the A-League. And they finished up play for their playoffs. Their premier and champion and grand finale champion, Melbourne Victory with a 3-0 convincing victory over Sydney FC. The intriguing thing for me, besides what I'm about to mention, and you guys can kind of laugh and take your take on it, was this actually made them tie with the Brisbane Roar with the Brisbane Roar with the most championships in the A-League at 3 right now. But it's pretty much all overshadowed by the commissioner, Frank Lowy, and he went to go get the trophy. For those that haven't seen this, go YouTube Frank Lowy A-League presentation or some sort of A-League presentation 2015.
Frank Lowy, it's there.
Yeah, Frank Lowy. There's like 20 videos.
One hit.
But as he was going to lift the trophy to present to the captain for Melbourne Victory, he decided to take a tumble off the stage and went flying. And, luckily he didn't take the trophy with him because he did get a hand on it, but then he would let go as he was falling, thankfully. Joey, what's your, what do you got to say about this wonderful tumble?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that, before a few days ago, I never saw this trophy before, and this is like one of the best trophies I've ever seen. I mean, steering wheel, toilet seat cover, whatever you want to call it, it's really a unique thing of beauty.
It's gorgeous.
And to see this guy almost trash this thing by falling backward in a drunken haze, it was something else. I mean, the pictures I was just looking at earlier made him look like he was planking in midair. So it almost had a certain grace to it.
Too Too much wine up in the commissioner's box, Tyler.
Too much Foster's.
I'm beginning to wonder if anybody's remixed it with dubstep yet and done like a slow mo as he hits. Like I would love that. Just
that
to get a copy of that. So if anybody has that out in the listening community, if you could find that and send it to me on my Twitter, which is @ProtectYourNet, that'd be great. Because I would love that.
@ProtectYourNet. Send it to Tyler. The last discussion topic is domestic cups are winding down in Europe. FA Cup, Coppa Italia just ended yesterday with Juve beating out Lazio.
Boo.
Cup ties. Yeah, I don't know. Some random team. Miroslav Klose lost. That's all that matters to me. But domestic cups right now are tied to the Europa League. It's something I was thinking about with all this. You're winning a tournament, but you're not in the Champions League yet. You're a champion. I don't know why they don't automatically just make them a Champions League team. And plus, it would make more teams competitive in these tournaments, because more often than not, most of these teams are throwing out backups and just saying, hey, go get some playing time. Whereas they might try to mix in more starters if they actually were going for a Champions League spot. Joey, I know you want to probably take this one first. I know you have some thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, domestic cups and their format, I think, they have something in common with the Champions League as far as like a knockout stage, and that's more so than what I can say for like the league. And like you said, I mean, you literally win something and you're a champion, and your reward is going to Europa. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, it's not that much of a reward. I mean, unless like you have no European place whatsoever, in your league table.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity. Honestly, I think there's a lot of potential for TV revenue. If these domestic cups were, heavily rewarded with the Champions League place. I think the only problem you might come into is with, say outside of like the top 10 or so leagues, like how do you determine like how those champions get in? Yeah. Because not everybody has more than one spot,
Right. Yeah. Does a Superliga get a Champions League spot for their winner?
Sure.
God, like I said in the pregame, that would require a full rebuild of the coefficient, the way that it's calculated, everything.
Sure.
It's fine. I mean, that's great, but then we'd be talking about, 2 Champions League spots for during the league, as opposed to 3 in most leagues, as opposed to England, who gets 4, but that's probably going to change next season or 2 seasons from now.
Well, they probably
yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, and I think it's a good idea. It's something they should explore. But if you have teams like RSC Anderlecht, right, in the Belgium league, if they win their league, the odds are that they're also going to win their League Cup. I don't know. I don't follow Belgium, their league, but my guess is, then what do you do with the secondary winner? Do they still get into Europa for those lower tiers? Do they then, if you win the league and your domestic cup, do you then get into Champions League? I mean, what do you do there?
Well, basically the reason why I was throwing this out there is right now, let's take England for example. They could possibly have 8 teams right now in Europe of some sort and shape or form, and I really don't think England had a great year at all for the league. Well, basically you would be saying Chelsea, City, you guys are in the group stage. Arsenal, you're qualifying. United, you're in Europa. Liverpool, you're in Europa, and then the next one would be like a qualifying spot or something like that for Europa. And then that last spot would be that other Champions League spot out of those 4 that normally would go to the top 4 would go to the winner of Arsenal or Aston Villa, and if Arsenal won, then you would go back to the way where it'd be the top 4, if you kind of get where I'm going with that.
Well, FA Cup does get a Champions League spot winner, but now they don't give it to the runner-up. They actually are giving it down 1 extra spot. So, because Aston Villa could have gotten into the Champions League last year, if Arsenal beats them. They're not going to get that this year. Or maybe Europa. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's Europa. It's Europa.
Okay, so but Aston Villa's not going to get into Europa even if they lose.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of shitty. As far as Europa being a crap tournament, I don't know. I kind of think it's a good stepping stone because those teams that are vying for Europa often aren't ready for Champions League. They're going to get bounced anyway. So if you have this secondary tournament that you can, if you win, get into the Champions League the following season. That's, I think, the whole point. But I think it's also fair to say that domestic cup champions should get a Champions League spot, pending that they meet some kind of criteria, and it's not like the Turkish league or Swiss league or whatever.
Well, another thing I was thinking about when I was pondering this thought was, say it would be. Say, like you just mentioned Turkish league. Say Besiktas was like 5th in their league and they won their cup. If Besiktas isn't in technically a Champions League area, but they got a Champions League spot from winning their cup, I'm thinking more like in the qualifying tournament pre-group stage would be kind of where you would put those spots. And you already put like a bunch of the smaller leagues, like you see teams like Maribor and Cluj and teams like that every year make it into the group stage after winning in that part of the tournament. Instead, you're just kind of, instead of, say, this year for England, it's probably going to be Manchester United. As of right now in Italy, it's Lazio. There's those spots that would go into that qualifying tournament is more what I'm thinking for the cup ties. Like, it's not going to be an automatic into the group stage.
Yeah, automatic bid now. Yeah, absolutely. No, that would be crazy. But I do think that's a good idea. It just depends on how you rework the way that it's set up. But yeah, I think it could work.
Any closing thoughts, Joey, on the domestic cups?
No, I mean, I think it can work in a lot of ways, kind of like, the NCAA, basketball tournament here does. I mean, because, the champions there of the regular season get in as well as the tournament. So it's just all about figuring out, what spots go to what leagues. It's a potentially great revenue generator for each of the leagues. I don't know if it's enough for UEFA to get their hands involved to make a difference, but if it is, I mean, I'm sure it's something worth looking into.
Well, if they could rework the coefficients, I think it would work. And,
I think
Nick Prokop for FIFA president. Let's put it that way. I'm not French enough. Whatever. All right. Moving on to the preview of the matches of the weekend. We will start in England, where there's 2 relegation battles right now. Down to Newcastle and Hull for that last spot. Hull has a really bad matchup against Manchester United, and Newcastle has, to me, it's an even match on paper with West Ham. Let's start with United Hull. Even if they put more of a B team out there for United, I do not see Hull winning at all or even getting enough points to come out of this. And I think they will be the 3rd team going down. The interesting topic on this, and I'll still want to start with Tyler on this one as soon as I get this out there, there's a very small chance for United to get up into the 3rd spot thanks to the draw with Sunderland that Arsenal had. Right now, the goal differentials are 25 and 32. Obviously, Arsenal with the higher one. If Arsenal was to lose 2-0 to West Bromwich Albion, we're just gonna say West Brom.
Yeah, West Brom's fine, man.
West Brom.
Soft.
If they lose 2-0 to West Brom, and then United was to come out 5-0 against Hull, they would tie. I believe the next one would be the head-to-head tie break, but if they went 6-0 on Hull, it wouldn't matter. United would jump on Arsenal. I say that's probably a 0.000000009% chance of happening, but hey, it's out there. It could happen. But Tyler, do you think there's any chance of that at all?
No. No. But I do think Hull's going to take that 3rd spot in the relegation.
Yeah, there's only 2 points right now between the teams. It's 36 for Newcastle, 34 for Hull.
I don't want Newcastle to get relegated again, man. I just love the Geordies. I don't know what it is. It's just, maybe it's the accent, maybe it's Ray Hudson. I don't know, but I don't want the Geordies to get relegated again.
Joe, you got any other thoughts on United Hull? I think it's going to be at least like a 3-1 affair, and Hull will be sent down. What do you got?
Yeah, I can't see Hull doing anything. Continuing, to the next match. What this boils down to is if like who has the better chance of drawing points from their opponent. And Hull, their chances compared to Newcastle, getting points against West Ham. I'm going to put the money on Newcastle drawing points against West Ham. More than Hull City. It's how it is.
Yeah, and
I know there's people that think differently, and that's okay and all, and whatever. But yeah, I too would like to see Newcastle stay up in the league, especially if they're going to be, bringing those sweet kits in next year. That's how I feel. So, but yeah, I definitely go United over Hull City and Newcastle over West Ham.
Okay.
West Ham is where I was thinking that Sterling should go. If he wants playing time to a club who's on the up and up.
Newcastle?
No, West Ham.
Oh, West Ham. Oh, yeah.
Because they were what, fifth for I don't know, maybe 5-6 weeks. I don't know. It was a while there, but they were doing well. They had a hard time lately, but I think Sterling go there. He would get tons of playing time.
Enter Valencia stopped scoring goals. That's kind of why.
Yeah.
He was getting a goal match when they were doing well, so that was one of the issues. They stopped scoring goals. Yeah, maybe Big Sam could be able to do something with him and kind of turn him into a prolific goal scorer.
I think he's gone. I think Big Sam's gone, honestly, during the season. I don't think he's going to stick around.
The only other thing I wanted to ask you guys on these matchups, would Newcastle be in this situation if Alan Pardew was still manager? Joey? Pass, Tyler.
Judging on Crystal Palace and what they've done since, I would say no, they would not be in the situation they're in now. I think that they lost the desire, the hope that a manager like Pardew would bring, and I think that sucks. But that's my issue with it. They weren't doing that poorly. They were pretty high up on the table earlier too.
Yeah, they were.
Just fell off. After he left, they fell apart.
Joey, anything else before I say my piece?
No, I have nothing to add.
Well, and that's the thing. You just mentioned with Crystal Palace's recent form there, Tyler, and them taking down Liverpool this past weekend, and then also just getting results when you didn't think they could, and pressuring Manchester United about a month ago, down to the wire. Pardew, he might not be a tactical genius, but for these middle table club teams, he's perfect for them because he's got the right mindset of getting the correct type of player, like a Remy Cabella, a Daryl Janmaat. The only issue is he lost certain players like Johan Gabay that were the glue players that kept the team from one side to the other complete. They have plenty of talent in Newcastle to be in the top 10. It's a lot of it, I think, has to do with the disdain for Mike Ashley also, because I don't even think the players like him either. So they're probably just like, why do I want to play for this guy? So hopefully that gets resolved. I think I'm with you guys. Newcastle stays up. Hull's going down. Let's move on over briefly to Germany, where the relegation battle is even more wide open. There is currently spots 14 through 18 wide open from 31 points to 34 points. Hanover and Freiburg are both at 34. Stuttgart's at 33. HSV is at 32, and Paderborn is at 31. Hanover and Freiburg are curious because even though they're right outside of the relegation zone, they play each other for their final match. Tyler, I'm not sure about you if you have any opinion on this, but I have a feeling this match will end up being just a draw between. They'll just do one of those things where they're just going to kick the ball at each other and just draw out so that they're both safe. Because if they draw, they're both safe from the fall.
I don't have much of an opinion on Freiburg Hanover, but I will say I don't want Stuttgart to go down. I have an affinity for Timo Werner like you wouldn't believe, and if they drop, I'll be so devastated.
Stuttgart also has that was actually going to be the next match I was going to bring up here. they have a lot of talent too. It's so weird to see that team struggling down there. I think the biggest issue for Stuttgart is they have been playing a lot of the younger talent. They haven't been
Yeah.
playing a lot of their, like Antonio Rudiger, guys like that are in the younger 20s that haven't had a lot of matches. The nice thing is they're playing Paderborn, who are the last team, and I think are the worst team. And even if they win, I think they're still getting relegated because they would be probably moving up to the third spot that plays the playoff with the Bundesliga 2 team.
Yeah.
I like Stuttgart in that matchup. I think they're gonna win, and actually, if they do get the 3 points, that will take them enough to get out of that third relegation spot and be in a safe zone. Even so, if they end up staying in that third relegation spot, they do get to play a playoff against the Bundesliga 2 team to stay up. But personally, I would rather see both HSV and Stuttgart stay up. Both teams just have tons of talent. It's just confusing how their managers can't. It's almost like they keep finding square managers and they have round players. So they're trying to get it to gel, and it's just not working.
Yeah, I just don't know if HSV can beat Schalke.
Yeah, like that's the biggest issue in these relegation battles.
I mean, Schalke doesn't have anything left to play for. I mean, they're pretty much tight-lipped where they're at. So I mean, there's potential there for them to actually get 3 points.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of team they put out there. But I mean, because Schalke, I don't know what they have to play for at this point.
Well, not really much. The only thing I can think of is solidifying the 5th spot they're in, because they're way too far behind.
Is 6 still in Europe, or is that?
Yeah, it's just that it's a qualifying spot. It's not. They would be automatic group stage spot if they keep the spot they're in, but Augsburg is only 2 points behind. So that's the problem. Is it's really hard to project what Schalke will do in this, because who are they going to throw out? Are they going to throw out the A team and just try to obliterate the HSV, and will they throw out like a B or C team and HSV have a chance to get 3 points and get out? So that's going to be something interesting to look out for. I'm hoping that Ivica Olic and Valen Baremi, the guy that you would know, Joey, are gonna get some good playing time and get a goal or two for.
Max Meyer will be in there too. So.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh geez, that's gonna be tough for that defense, because one of the biggest issues, if you look at these teams, except for Stuttgart, because they do have some young, decent defensive backs and all that. There's not a lot of guys on the defensive line that are really strong for any of these teams. So that's for any lower team in the division, but still, it's just one of those situations that I'm just looking at these matchups and I just go, oh my God, HSV, just please get something, stay up, just because it's too big. To me, that's too big of a club to drop down. It's almost like HSV is kind of like the Newcastle, in my opinion, of Bundesliga. They're that team that should be good, that aren't good, that are always falling down, but. That's Germany.
Nice kids too. So.
Yeah, they are. Although they're another Emirates back team. Moving on to Serie A. I saved the last European league for last that we're going to talk about, mainly because the last 2 weeks are actually meaningful for the Champions League spots in Italy, and right now you have 2 to 4 are separated by 4 points. Roma's at 2 right now with 67. Lazio in 3 with 66, and Napoli in 4 with 63. Fun enough, this weekend all 4 play each other. So let's start off actually with the Rome versus Lazio on Monday. A crosstown derby. I know all 3 of us like Napoli. So what are we thinking, Joey?
Wait, I thought we were going with. Are we talking about Roma and Lazio, or?
Yeah, we're doing Roma and Lazio first.
Okay, I didn't know why you said Napoli. I mean, Roma's Napoli's bigger rival of the two, obviously. I know for me personally, I'm rooting for Roma. I think that gives Napoli their best chance of qualifying. If Napoli were to win against Juve, and that's entirely possible. I mean, it's at the Old Lady. But Juve might be resting players at the same time too. I mean, they just rested Buffon the other day for Coppa Italia.
True.
I mean, Roma winning would give Napoli the best chance if Napoli beats Juve, because then Lazio and them will be neck and neck, and then the following week Napoli hosts Lazio, and all they have to do is play for a tie, and they'll get in, because the first tiebreaker is actually head-to-head in Serie A. So, and they've already beaten Lazio this season.
Okay.
Play. So, I mean, personally, I'm rooting for Roma. I think Roma will win. I think, after this Coppa Italia, these guys are kind of drained after that, especially losing the way they did. Getting, playing for such a long time and overtime, and there was a period where Montri scored a goal and then it was called back, and then later he scored a goal anyway, and they looked like a really uninspired bunch during that entire overtime. So I'm kind of expecting them to walk into that with Roma as well.
Okay.
Roma definitely wants to solidify their position just as much as Lazio. Their books make it a necessity. I can't stress enough how much they need to make the Champions League.
Tyler, your thoughts on Roma and Lazio?
I think Joey's right. I think with Lazio going out there and losing, was it yesterday? I just don't know. I don't know. I think Roma's the better side for this at this point. I don't know that they're the better side overall, but given the time of year, what has already happened, I think he's right. I think they're drained.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And on paper, I think Roma looks better anyways. So whenever we talk about derbies, I always like to say throw out any kind of form or stat books or anything like that, just because it usually it doesn't matter unless like one team's way better than the other. But I'm just gonna go Roma because I want them to win just because of the whole Napoli factor.
Right.
So moving on to the old lady in Turin, Napoli versus Juventus. I'm just gonna set it up with Joey. Go ahead, Joey.
Like I said before, I expect Juve to rest several players. They have the league title locked up. They've won the double. Really, what they have to lose is several key players if they put them out there. They obviously want to shoot for a treble. They've gotten so far to the Champions League. There's no pride getting in the way of that now. Beating Napoli is not going to mean that much to them. This rivalry between Juve and Napoli has always been, a thing more so for Napoli. It's a very segregated rivalry in terms of regional. What's the word I'm looking for? Basically regional pride. This is very a North versus South matchup, Napoli really has to finish this last 2 weeks out. They do.
Yeah.
And like I said before, beating Juve will go a long way towards making the last week easier for them. I can't remember the last time they've ever won at Juve. They have a new stadium, but still I can't remember the last time that happened. But I feel like if it's ever going to happen, it's probably going to be this time. This is probably the best time as any.
Tyler, your thoughts?
Well, I'm hoping for a Napoli win, obviously. But again, I think Joey's right. I think when you have the Champions League final coming up, the inclination is to rest the players that are going to be playing in that. You don't want to risk anything. They've already gotten the championship locked up. Who cares? The Scudetto is theirs. It doesn't matter at this point. So why would you play your best players? This is a good time to kind of figure out for the future, who do you have? What games that actually still count too. So it's like we can see what these young players would have to go against a team like Napoli who is fighting still. What can we get out of it?
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the thing about Napoli. It's always scoring has never seemed to be a problem this year. It seems to be the back end, honestly. And the
deep wrong for Benitez, the master defensive coach that he is.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the stats too, you have the league leader in assists in Mark Hamšík right now with 11 assists, and you have two top goal scorers in Gonzalo Higuain with 16, and I'm gonna really butcher this name, but Gabbiadini.
Yeah, Gabbiadini.
Oh, hey, I got it. Woohoo! Yeah, Gabbiadini has 15 goals, so it's like they have the guys that can.
Those are Sir Sampdoria as well. You have to remember that.
True. But they have firepower, though. They can get goals. They just need to stop the goals. So hopefully it's a UAB team, like Joey said, hopefully resting players. I'm hoping for that, mainly just because all three of us are Napoli fans, and we want to see that happen. I'm hoping maybe Marek Hamšík can get a goal or two in there, too. But that's just me personally. Moving on to the final league we're going to talk about for the weekend, MLS. We will start in Foxborough, where DC United will go up to New England, and two of the best teams right now. I'm fearful for DC United. Before this, I would have said they were one of the most complete teams in MLS. Right now, they have injuries with Fabio Espindola, and I believe also Luis Silva has a hamstring injury right at this point. Tyler, do you have any thoughts here on New England versus DC?
Yeah, I mean, given what happened to New England yesterday, I would say that they're going to come out and win this game against DC. Teams like that don't usually just get pummeled and then come out lifeless the next game. So I would say that it's probably going to be a 3-1 win for New England. Although DC is good, they do have some key injuries. I don't know, but yeah, if I had to guess, just going solely off of the way that New England plays, and the fact that they got pummeled yesterday by KC, I mean, that was ridiculous. 4-1 against one of the top teams in the league is incredible. But a team like that doesn't just come back flat. I think they'll do what they have to do to get the win, but I think it will be a 3-1 victory for New England.
Joey?
Yeah, I have to agree with Tyler as well. It's not every week that you see teams, come out like that and then put the same result out on the field again. Aside from, I guess, Montreal and Philadelphia. Those two teams aside, though, I'm really starting to feel like it's all about, like, are you playing at full power in this league lately? Because you saw what happened to LA down Orlando. They played without Keane, and they looked like a headless monster, and they got shanked for it. I mean, they look terrible. And I think there's something to be said about, doing, coast-to-coast trips in the league as well. Mm-hmm. I don't think that favors or, gives the away team any advantage whatsoever. Of course, in this instance, DC United and New England, there's not that much of a distance. But, I mean, if DC United is not playing at full power, I don't have any confidence in them whatsoever in getting 3 points.
I want to pose this question to both of you guys, because one of the biggest issues I had with the disastrous game against Kansas City was Jermaine Jones at center back. I do not think he should be there anymore. It looked disastrous. He looked out of place. I really think he needs to be back in the midfield. Where does he start in this lineup, Tyler?
CDM for me. There's no way. He's not a center back. In no way, to me, is he a center back. Don't like it.
Joey?
Yeah, CDM as well. I mean, if it's not broke, I mean, why are you going to try and fix it? I mean, he's done the same thing for the U.S. national team too, right? They've tried him out there, and it's just not. I don't know. Just play guys where they're comfortable playing. I mean, I don't understand why that's that hard, of a concept to grasp. But whatever.
He's a risk taker. That's what he does. He likes to take risks, and you can't do that. And at a center back position, you just can't. So,
and they also have Jose Gonzalez and Andrew Farrell, so it's like you just normally play those guys, so play them anyways, and then move Jones up. The other thing that's been intriguing for New England, and why I kind of agree with the sentiment, at least 3-1, Lee Nguyen has been finally getting into his stride. And one of the things I think that will be great for him is he gets to be more of a playmaker and not have to depend as a goal scorer with Juan Agudelo back, and having so much up front with the attacking Diego Fagundes looks like he's back in the form that he was in 2013. And you have a few other guys like Teal Bunbury if he ever gets on the pitch. Charlie Davies looks fantastic right now, too. He's really in form for a guy that hasn't been really in form in 5 years. But those guys up front will make a difference if Lee wins getting them nice creative balls. Moving on for the last match of this is tomorrow's primetime Unimas SAP Chicago versus Columbus Crew SC. Joey, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Hate week time.
Well, I think after the extensive travel that they've done after this last week and the result that they've gotten, I think it's going to be a very different team. I didn't get to watch the match last week, but I'm really hoping that several things get back to clicking. Probably most importantly, I want to see Ethan Finley do something, just something. I know the last match at home, he just wasn't, there with his finishing, and I mean there were several chances to put more goals on the board against Seattle.
True.
And I know that we talked about the offside goal for Dempsey a lot, but we could have really helped ourselves with Finley finishing at least one of those two chances, or hell, both of them.
Yeah.
Chicago is a team. I'm taking Chicago, Philadelphia, Montreal, and casting them aside. I don't think these are teams that are going to be making the playoffs. Just deep down, I think it's going to be a very aggressive battle. It's going to be interesting. Is Eric Garrick healthy and available for Chicago? Do you know?
I believe so. The only thing that I saw was Nyarko and McGee on their injury report.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how much playing time he gets. Like it's going to be a very heated battle, but I can see the Crew coming out of this with a 1-goal victory. I mean they're going to have to work for it, but it's there for the taking.
Before I go to you, Tyler, one other side note. We talked a little bit about Seattle there, but in San Jose we did lose Mohamed Saeed. It sounds like it came out today that Kevon George, the Trinidad and Tobago center midfielder, will be starting in his absence. Tyler, some of your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, not realizing that Chicago and Columbus was a rivalry, I would have said that Chicago is going to get waxed this weekend. Absolutely just murdered. If you've watched Chicago this season, they look like a train wreck.
Yeah.
Like a fucking train wreck. Pathetic at times. And Columbus, to their credit, has looked spectacular. As poor as Chicago has been, Columbus has looked that good. So for me, if Columbus doesn't come out of this with a 3-0 win, it's a loss for you guys. Like, I don't see how it's possible that you guys could do. But then again, you never know. I mean, there have been good players from Chicago coming out, but you guys also got beat pretty easily last weekend. So people are going to come out unhappy with a lot of intensity, given that it is against Chicago, and I don't know. I think that you guys should put the axe to them pretty easily.
Well, the only bad result at home so far is the Red Bulls match in March. Every other match has been a win. The one thing I want to point out, though, is that back line for Chicago. Joey did bring up Eric Garrick. He's all right at right back. He's not bad. I just don't think that they have anybody in the back that can really take on Kai Kamara at striker or slow down Finley, Higuain, and Miram. I really don't see it. And the issue for them is their best player is Harry Shipp, in my opinion at least.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is he can't play everywhere in the midfield. He's usually on the left wing, so it's like you figure that they're going to take up the left side of the field if the defense can kind of get off to the left side that way, or if the right back, which is probably going to be Hector Jimenez and Michael Parkhurst and all the guys that are playing on the right side of the pitch can kind of shade that way and make sure that he doesn't do anything, you just basically neutralize the whole team. So until they get Mike McGee back, they don't see the major scoring threats because Kennedy Kunikwe, their Nigerian striker, hasn't really done anything. David Akam has scored a couple goals, but he's not really prolific. And the one goal was just a joke goal against NYCFC where it was like the goalie was way out of the net, and it's like, hey, I can just tap this in now. But you're right. If it's not a 3-0 win, it's a loss. It really is. So I'm hoping they come back in with a good home form. They really need to find some sort of form on the road. But, hey, every time they come home, they seem to win and win big. I'm more worried about Mohamed Saeed not being available since Will Trapp's still not available. I think that's going to be a very difficult area to be in on the pitch since that's more of a spot that Harry Shipp would be playing in. But yeah, with the major injuries to Mike McGee and guys like that, I don't see Chicago as a threat, honestly. So
yeah, I don't know how they're going to stop Meram. Honestly, he's looked dynamic for basically the entire season. He's looked really good. I don't know who's going to stop him. Is their right back even good enough? I don't even know who it is, to be honest with you.
Eric Garrett's going to be bad.
Hopefully he doesn't.
Also they're still trying to make a CDM work at center back as well. So I just the Ginger Ninja to me is not a center back. I mean, I think he showed that in the first 3 games, but who knows? Who knows? But I still feel like you guys are going to win this game.
Yeah, Joey, any final thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I actually got 3 final thoughts. So you're lucky. I personally like Kevon George. I've seen enough of him by now. Not just in random filler moments at the end of matches, but also the training facility over at Obetz. I mean, he's well suitable for this kind of game where there's not enough pressure, obviously, from Chicago, putting any stress on the back line. Also, it's going to be interesting to see how well they play on a Friday. We don't play Friday matches. Like, that's not a thing here.
National television.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how the guys get up for it. Also, if you haven't checked it out by now, go on to Twitter and look up hashtag 312 for Crew SC. That's probably one of the best guerrilla trolls I've ever read on the internet. Katie Mitchell, Justin Bell, John Zadar, and Morgan Hughes ventured out to Chicago because, as you know, the Chicago Fire don't play actually in Chicago. They play in Bridgeview, which is 40 minutes outside of Chicago. So technically, Chicago doesn't have an MLS team. So they're going around right now and planting all sorts of memorabilia, stickers, flags, whatever they can find in Chicago landmarks. I mean, they've draped Michael Jordan's statue with the Columbus Crew scarf. They've invaded the U.S. Soccer Federation complex and tagged it with stickers. It's entertaining. It's definitely entertaining. There's even a picture of Chicago sports shop where there's everything you can think of as far as Bulls, White Sox, Cubs, and there's just nothing Chicago Fire related whatsoever in this shop, and they're openly mocking it. So again, hashtag 312 for Crew SC. Check it out.
All right. Tyler, before we close out the show, let everybody know how they can find you via Twitter, or if you're doing any writing or anything like that for the Rapids or Total MLS, or what else you're doing anymore.
Yeah, I'm on Total MLS. We do the roundtable once a week, usually on Tuesdays. But I also I kind of write for them. I don't really write for them. But, mostly I just do the roundtable. And at ProtectorNet on Twitter. That's
all right.
Best way to get on.
All right, Joey, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Buckeye Italian. That's Buck Italian. If you're an Arsenal fan, I would not suggest following me, though.
Probably just Chelsea fans, Napoli fans, Columbus Crew fans. That's probably all you really want.
Yeah, I tweet out Celtic as well when I feel it. So.
Oh, yes, Celtic too. But yeah, you can find me at Buckeye Nick. This has been the Corner Kick with Nick and Rick show, soon to be the Corner Kick show. Tyler is definitely going to be on for a while with me while Rick's doing his thing in Alaska. Joey might show up ever so often if he wants to. I don't really care if he wants to. Be a guest. You're fun. All right. But until we meet again, gentlemen.
Sayonara.
Joey.
Ciao.